Hi everyone, welcome to World Kitchen. I think the sun has finally come out after a couple of dreary days, and as I had mentioned in my email to you, I think that today's recipe is going to be a great recipe for spring with the cherries, and it's just going to be a really interesting day. I have a good friend with me here, someone I met just about 6 or 8 months ago when she arrived. Her husband is a Hubert H. Humphrey Fellow with the university, and so she and her children came along with him for this year to be with us. Her name is Narges Amani, and so
Hi,
Narges
everybody.
is going to be cooking along with me today.
Yes.
Um, so this recipe, I was telling our guests earlier, is one that I don't typically do. So she's an expert at it. So I'm really excited to learn from her today. And I want to thank our sponsor, the Penn State Online Education and Outreach Office of Inclusion, Equity, and Diversity for their sponsorship. But I think we should go ahead and get started because there's a lot to do today.
Yes,
All
sure.
right,
Yes.
Narges, you want to go
Okay.
ahead?
Hi, everybody. My name is Narges, and I'm glad to be here. And thank you for inviting me for this cooking and for cooking world. Yeah, in cooking world kitchen. So we are going to start the albal polo, which is sour cherry with rice and meatballs. So first of all, we need to put our sour cherry in a saucepan and put it in a high heat, and then we turn the when it's getting to boil, we turn down the temperature and let it to make a syrup.
So what we found, let's turn this around a little and show folks. So at the Global Foods here in State College, if you're local, they have this Sadaf version of the sour cherries in a nice syrup already. So that's what we're using today. If you can't get this, you can also just use frozen cherries. As long as they're sour cherries, you can get those frozen sour cherries in most freezer sections at most supermarkets. But then you'll kind of have to make your own syrup using the sour cherries in a pan with the water and sugar as described in the recipe.
Yes.
But this one comes with a nice syrup where we just have to add a little sugar to make it a little sweeter.
So we have to put it in a saucepan and
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna switch, put it right there into the pan.
and leave it on the heat.
Okay, so we're gonna put it on.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And we are waiting for getting boil. This one is already we used.
So we've had this one
Yeah.
boiling for a while now,
Yes.
just because it does take maybe 20 minutes. So we got that
Okay,
one
yeah.
started,
Yes.
but we're gonna go ahead and cook this one along with you.
Yes, and this one might be getting a little bit thick and make like syrup. So it needs about 30 minutes to getting syrup.
Oh, to boil the juice
Yes,
down till it
yes.
gets thicker and becomes a
Yes,
syrup.
Yes.
Okay,
That's true.
okay.
And after that, we have to do the rice, and we have to measure the rice.
Alex, we're gonna go back over here. Sorry? Okay. So we're kind of skipping around a bit today because these two recipes both have things that take a little bit of extra time. So we're gonna go ahead and start soaking our rice.
Yes. We can
4 cups of
cup
rice. And again, we're using the basmati rice. That's what you're always going to use when you're doing Persian food. So we've got the basmati rice. We're putting it into the bowl.
And then put about some water.
Okay.
And wash it.
So as you can see, Narges is rinsing the rice as I've shown you before. This is very traditional in Persian rice as well. You always put some water in the rice and use your hand to kind of mix it around and you're trying to get some of that starch out of the rice.
And the water must be in this size on the rice. So I leave it here, and it's better to be use a warm water and salt.
Okay.
The salt is here.
So you're salting the water to kind of let the rice absorb a little bit of the salt, right?
Yes. And after that, we are going to use another eggplant to put it on the flame on the gas to make it a little bit cooked, and then we peel off the skin, and after we put some onion and garlic, I add eggplant to that, and we mix them together to make Mirza Qasemi for this
Okay.
a starter.
Okay, so one of the things I want to mention is that in the recipe, we talked about, in the recipe, we talked about using the oven because I had never done this on an open flame on my stove, and I know a lot of people don't even have a gas stove, they have electric stoves. So in discussing this today while we were preparing, Narges told me that she's actually even done it on an electric stove.
Yes.
It doesn't work as well, but I thought it was really interesting to watch her do it on my gas stove. So she's going to show you how that works. Now, if you don't want to do that, the way I've always done it, and it's just as easy, it just doesn't come out quite as smoky and doesn't have the same flavor, is to use the eggplant and cut it lengthwise and just brush it with some olive oil and put it on a baking sheet in the oven and let it just bake, until it's good and soft. And then you can scrape the insides out and chop it up and use it. But this is a really interesting way to do it. This is the much more authentic way to do it. And so we'll let Narges show us how she's doing that, okay?
I put it on the gas and turn the heat high.
Okay.
Yeah, and let's wait for getting like this one.
Yeah, so she has, as you can see, done a couple already, and they are just blistered and very soft and kind of falling apart. So we're letting those cool down so that we can show you how that's going to work. But she's going to do this one to just show you how quickly it actually cooks when you put it right directly on the gas flame.
Yes. It's too quick. And after that, we peel off this skin, and we chop the eggplant inside.
Okay.
And now we can put some water for boiling.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get the water. That's okay. You watch the eggplant. I'll get the water.
Every 2 minutes, we turn the eggplant to other side, to every part of the eggplant getting a little bit cooked.
Turn this on. Okay, can this step be done in the oven if we don't have a gas stove? Yes. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, maybe you came in a little late. If you don't have a gas stove, you can just cut your eggplants in half lengthwise, put them on a baking sheet, brush them with a little bit of olive oil because they tend to dry out in the oven, and then bake them, I would say at like 350 or so, until they look kind of soft and you can poke them with a fork and they're done. The other option, I haven't done it myself, but Narges says, I guess here, she does have an electric range in her house. And so she has done it on an electric range as well. It doesn't come out exactly the same. You don't get the flame broiling, so you're not getting the same smokiness to to the eggplant, but it will work that way as well. So you can do it in multiple different ways, the oven, the gas range, or the electric range.
Yeah. Just we have to use the high temperature.
Very high heat, yeah. And it's already starting to blister. I know it's hard to see from the camera angle, but from my angle, I can tell it's already starting to blister. It does make a little bit of a mess on your stove, as you can probably see from the camera. We did the first two earlier today, and it does drip a bit. So you're gonna have some cleanup by the time you're done, but it shouldn't be too bad if you do it, fairly soon. So Narges, you're here visiting for the year, basically, while your husband is in the Humphreys program. And I know he's traveling a bit, but you brought your kids as well. So how is that going?
Yeah, actually, the kids love State College, and I love the city because it's nice and cozy and nice people that we met. And we love this, and they love to go to schools, and everything is good.
Yeah, I know we moved overseas when my kids were younger too, and I know that's very challenging to, take your kids and have them start a whole new life, especially when it's only for a school year. That's a challenge.
Yes, for first month, it's challenging, but after that they get used to go to school and do their homeworks and everything. They're getting better.
That's good. That's good. And when you're in Iran, where is home?
We lived in Tehran.
Okay.
And and the kids go to schools, and I worked in a gallery because I studied art and painting. So we were busy, and the Tehran is a crowded and busy city. So being here, it's so quiet and peace.
Very different lifestyle here. Yeah, I know when we're in Tehran, it's like this. It's like New York. It's the city that never sleeps. It seems like Tehran is awake 24 hours a day.
It is,
So it's the capital, for those of you who don't know. So it's very busy. Lots going on all the time. Whoa! It just started steaming. It's like it popped a little hole, and now the steam is coming out. You can kind of smell the charring while you're doing this as well, but you can see how quickly it's actually working. If anyone's cooking along with us today, please let us know. And if we're going too fast, tell us and we'll slow down. Yeah, we put the water on to boil to prepare it for adding the rice, because in this recipe you want to add the rice to already boiling water. Do you typically cook every day at home when you're here?
Yes.
Yes,
every day, yes. Because not for lunch, just for dinner.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the kids are at school for lunch, and for the dinner, everyone going back
Comes home.
comes home.
Yeah.
And I have to cook for them.
Okay.
And I love cooking, actually.
Yeah. That's great. I know that through the program that your husband is involved in, the Humphrey program, you are, he's working with fellows from many different countries this year. So have you spent some time with people from the program from other countries?
Yes, actually we met lovely people in US, which they have they've been our hosts.
Okay.
Yeah, and they invited us to their home and other people's, and gathering together, talking, and it's a lovely experience that I haven't got this experience before.
Oh, good. That's great. Okay, it is. Oh, yeah.
The bottom.
Okay, so you want to be sure and get the bottom too.
Yeah.
Okay. You're brave holding it with your fingers there. I'm afraid I would burn myself terribly. Oh yeah, it's very, very cooked. I can see it squishing when you hold it with the tongs there.
Yeah, it's getting soft.
Yeah. This mirza meat is one of two of my daughter's favorite dishes. They're vegetarians and they really love this one.
Really?
A lot of the Persian food has a meat or a protein base to it,
Yeah.
but there are some nice vegetarian options.
Yes. And most of them have eggplants.
Yes.
And some of them have like green beans or
Lima beans.
Yes,
Lima
yes.
beans. Yes.
And most of these vegetarian food are belong to the villages or small town in other cities in Iran.
Okay. Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about the regional differences? Oh yeah, it's very very soft there. We'll put it on here to cool down a little bit. All right. Maybe we'll move the rice over to the bigger burner, or the water, sorry, over to the bigger burner so it can get a little bit quicker to boil. So I was asking about the regional differences in cuisine in Iran. I know much like the US, where Southern food is very different from Northern food. You have a lot of different cuisines in Iran based on where you are in the country, right? So what cuisine is your family's history?
Actually, we live in the center of Iran, so we like sour and salt and a little bit sweet.
Okay.
But in north of Iran, most people use the sour things, and in south they use hot cuisines. Yeah,
spicy.
Spicy. Yeah,
okay.
Spicy one. Yeah.
Okay.
And the middle one using both.
Okay, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
All right, great. Yeah. I don't think our water's quite boiling yet, and our rice is still soaking.
We can go for meatballs.
Okay, we're gonna start making our meatballs. All right, so we have just ground beef here, and based on you know what I've used in the past for Persian food, I got the 80-20 ground beef, so it has a decent amount of fat in it, but it's not terribly fatty. So this is the 80-20.
Yes, and we add some diced onion.
Yeah, now we did chop this onion really fine. For the other dish, you don't have to have the onion chopped quite as fine, but for this one, we did chop it pretty fine in order to make it incorporate into the meat better.
Yes, and we must we add some paprika.
Okay, paprika.
Yeah. And cinnamon. And some salt. And the black pepper.
Yeah, this is black pepper.
And we have to mix them together. Mix it with spoon. And I think I have to use my hands.
Go right ahead. I would normally use my hands too, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're not picky here in the World Kitchen. We get right in there with our hands, just like everybody does at home.
Yeah. And I don't know what do you call it for doing mixture?
Mixing, kneading it.
Yeah.
So you want to knead it really well, right?
Yes.
Just like when you're making the chelo kebab, it has to be really mixed well together.
Exactly.
Now in like Italian meatballs, some people add like breadcrumbs or egg to the meatballs, but this
Yes.
one is just really the meat and the onion.
Yeah, and we have a dish like that. We add a bread and egg,
Mm-hmm.
but it's called cutlet.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
different food and different dish.
Yeah.
So this one is just, we call it kufta galgali.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a meatball.
Okay, can you say that again? Kufta
Kufta galgali.
galgali.
Yes.
Okay. And it's that gh that's in the back of your throat. Galgali. All right.
Okay, and now
Even after almost 40 years with my husband, I still don't speak Farsi, which is, much to his dismay and mine.
yeah. And
Okay.
we have to make a little boat in a walnut size.
Walnut size.
Yeah.
Let me get another tray here for you to start putting on. Another plate. There we go. So we're going to make a bunch of meatballs because, and I think if they're this size, once you start cooking them, they're going to obviously shrink down a little bit.
Getting small.
Let me rinse my hands and see if I can help you there.
Yes.
I think it also works well when your hands are damp to do this type of
Yes.
thing. Okay. Yeah. So does anybody have any questions, or should we just keep talking about life in Iran and as a traveling Humphrey Fellow spouse? I notice we have some friends who've been with us before, but I see some new names as well. So if anybody has any questions about the show itself, we can also answer those. Coming up next month, we are going to have World Kitchen Egypt with one of the Humphrey Fellows who is here working with Narges's husband.
That's good.
Another little plug I'd like to give is that coming up next Saturday is WPSU's second Multicultural Children's Festival. That will be at the WPSU Studios in Innovation Park, which is in the Outreach Building in Innovation Park from 10 to 3. So if there are any kids in your life, or if you're just interested in coming yourself and seeing all the different cultures, please come out. There is a registration link on WPSU.org, so you can check that out. We're going to have about 20 to 24 different countries and cultures represented by the tables, and then we will have performances happening in the studio on the stage all day that you could watch from different cultures, different music and dance. So please come out and join us for that if you can. We also managed to get a couple of food trucks who are coming, so you can come and enjoy a food truck if that's something you'd like to do. We have a pizza truck coming and a bubble tea truck, so come on out.
Tamra, do you want to mention anything about the culinary connections?
Sure.
Podcast piece?
Oh, yeah. So another thing that is in the works is a new program on WPSU called Culinary Connections. And it's a little bit related to World Kitchen. It's kind of where the idea came from, but it's actually where we have taken, our producers have gone to visit restaurants. There are 4 restaurants we'll be featuring over 4 weeks. It'll be a half-hour program starting April 15th. So watch your WPSU television schedule for that. But starting April 15th, I believe it's at 7:30, and then it will replay throughout the week too. We will do this, we will offer this program where, as I said, we've gone to these restaurants and we have interviewed them, talked to them, watched them cook, talked to them about how they got their start and why. And then they are also going to be actually in a couple of weeks coming to the WPSU studios, and I will be cooking with them in the studio one of their signature dishes, and we will make that a part of the half-hour program as well. So it's kind of on site at the restaurants and then a cooking segment in our studio. So that's another cooking show if you're interested in watching that one. I probably will go ahead and send out an email to everybody who's ever registered for World Kitchen, just to let them know that when and where this is all gonna happen. I know it's already been scheduled. I believe it's the same night every week at 7:30 for 4 weeks, starting April 15th. All right, we got those meatballs made, and while Narges washes her hands, I'll just wait, and then we'll go back over to the stove and start frying those meatballs. Okay, just a second. Get that going. I don't know. We had a question about whether or not you could bake the meatballs instead of frying them. I guess, some people think baking them is a little healthier without the oil. Is that okay to bake them instead?
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't use a lot of oil, just
Okay.
a little bit, because the meat already have a little bit oil. So this amount is enough, I think.
Okay.
For all of them.
Great. Let's back up. Yeah, that's just, maybe a tablespoon or so of oil in there.
Yeah.
Right?
They can use just a little bit oil and put the lid on.
Okay.
So it's kind of cooking the meatballs.
Okay, with the lid on?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Get that batch going, and then we can add some as they shrink a little bit.
Yeah.
So do you think our syrup looks like it's getting really thick, right?
Yes, I think it's good.
Yeah.
And turn the stove down. Is it this one?
It's the last one. Okay, so we're lowering that cherry down to low just to keep it warm, but yeah. All right, we'll keep an eye on that. And our water was boiling, but I moved it over to this other burner so we could use this one, and it stopped a little. So we're trying to get that going again. What?
It wasn't on.
Oh, okay. You didn't light it. Okay, there you go. All right.
So now we have to drain the soap.
Drain. So the rice has been soaking, and now we need to drain the water off.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going to move over to the stove or to the. So we're just going to drain the water off the rice a bit.
We have to add the rice to the boiling
water. Okay. Okay, and we're only going to be like parboiling the rice for like 10 minutes just to kind of get it sort of parboiled, but not really completely cooked through. Okay. I can keep an eye on the meatballs if you want to go ahead and show everyone how this works. Okay. I'll just be over here doing the meatballs, and our guest is going to show you how to do the eggplant now. Alex. Okay. Sorry, what now?
I peel off the skins that they burned, and
Okay,
it's look
you want to go
like
a little bit far. There.
let's see. It's getting
So you're tearing off all that charred skin.
yes, and because it's cooled down, it's easy to peel them.
Yeah. And the recipe called for 2 large eggplants. When I went to get the eggplants, they didn't have the really big ones, so I ended up with 3 medium-ish eggplants. But you know, it's up to you how many you want to do.
This part, because it's a little bit big, we use knife.
Oh, okay. So the knife can scrape a little bit more
Yeah.
of it off there. So you want to try to get as much of that skin off as you
Yes.
can.
Let's see.
I thought it was interesting that, and I've seen this in other Iranian recipes where they've used beef or lamb, they use cinnamon with it. That's a
Yes.
little unusual for us here. We
Really?
don't typically
Oh.
use cinnamon with meat. It's
Yes.
more of a for baking and things like that.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, we use it because we don't want to taste the meat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's why we use cinnamon and black pepper and paprika
Okay.
for our meats, especially when it's raw, like mince.
Uh-huh.
So we use it for grounded beefs, and we mix it together. And we have some spice for kebab as well,
Mm-hmm.
the special one.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's the advieh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of a mixture of many spices together, right?
Yes, it is. But it's not too spicy as Indian people.
Oh no, it doesn't
Yeah.
have a heat to it. It's just
Yes.
more of a flavoring.
Yeah, it's just flavor.
Yeah, most Persian food that I've ever had, I've never really tasted anything that's got that heat like
Mhm.
Indian food or Thai food has.
Yes, it is. Like this.
Okay, our rice is boiling, so I'm just giving it a little stir because it was starting to foam up a little bit.
Mhm.
Did you learn to cook from, of course, your mom or your grandmother or someone, you know, special to you back in Iran?
Yeah, actually my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned everything from my mom, and some of the recipes I learned from the chefs that I watched watched their program.
Oh, like a cooking program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like to cook any other cuisines, or do you pretty much just cook Persian food?
Actually, I know some of the dishes from Arabic countries.
Okay.
Yeah, like hummus and baba ganoush.
Uh-huh.
Some, yeah, but just the desserts. Yeah, I don't like the main courses. Yeah, I don't know about the main
Okay.
courses. Yeah.
What's the kids' favorite thing to eat?
زرش بود با مرغ.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So that's the one with the barberries. The zareshk is we call barberries
Oh,
here. So they're
yes.
like little sour berries, and they dehydrate them,
Mhm.
and then you rehydrate them and put them in or on rice
Yes.
and other dishes.
With chicken.
Mhm.
This one is-
I noticed when I was in Iran that traditionally, you know, the women spend a lot of their day cooking. It seems like, you know, they're making breakfast, and then as soon as breakfast is finished, they start making lunch, and as soon as that's finished, they start making dinner. In the old times, I think some of the more modern conveniences are now making life a little easier over there as well. You're not doing as much chopping and preparing of things. Okay, so you're rinsing the eggplant now.
Yeah, because I don't want to. They have this burnt skin.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you're trying to rinse all that burnt skin off. Okay. Great. Okay, Alex is looking here at the meatballs cooking. The rice is cooking. Yes. And the cherry syrup is going well. We're going to go ahead and take the rice out now and drain it in a colander. Okay. All right, so we're rinsing it with a little bit of cool water also, and that stops the cooking process while we're doing some other things. All right.
And pour some oil.
All right, so we went ahead and got our pan going over there with a little oil in the bottom. And now we're gonna get our potatoes prepared here.
But before that, we
okay.
have to make the saffron powder.
Okay.
And mix it with ice to have a beautiful color.
Okay. There's some ice in the freezer in the outside. Alex, could you grab that bag of ice? So let's talk about the saffron powder. So typically, a lot of Persian dishes do have saffron involved. And, you know, as most of you know, it comes in these threads, and it can be quite pricey here. Some of us are lucky enough to get it from overseas where it's not quite as expensive, but this is how it comes. So typically what I would do is use my mortar and pestle. And what I do is put a little bit of the sugar cube or granulated sugar, either one, just because it acts as a, just put it there, that's fine. It acts as an abrasive. So I would put that in there with, you know, some of the strands, the saffron strands, and then use the pestle to just really crush it all up. All right, so now we have that in there.
A small bowl.
A small bowl, okay. So have a bowl. All right. So she's gonna put just a little, so it looks like maybe a teaspoon or so. And she's putting ice in there with it. And that is going to force the saffron to kind of melt around the ice. And we say it blooms with the ice. Okay, and while that's happening, she's going to
cutting the potato.
Cut the potato.
Is it round one? Yeah. It's cutting like this.
So maybe that's like a 1/4 inch maybe thickness.
Yeah. Because we use it for tadik. Tadik is kind of crust.
For the bottom of the pan of the rice, called the tadik. So again, if you've seen some of our other world kitchens, you've seen us do the one where it's just the rice. We've done ones with tortilla and this one with potato. You can use lots of different kinds of bread, anything really. But lettuce, I've never used lettuce. Interesting.
Yeah, it's getting more. we use lettuce just for white rice.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't use it for the
Mixed
rice,
rices. Okay. Interesting.
But potato and bread is for all kind of rice.
Yes.
That we need.
And you can use, you know, white potato typically is what we would use. Even a yellow potato will work. Okay. So now she's going to go over and put that.
Yeah, I put some oil on the pan.
So we had oil in the bottom of the pan. Let me get these. And she's layering the potatoes so that they're covering as best they can. Someone getting a call? Okay. So yeah, so we've got as much as we can. We've filled the bottom of the pan with those potatoes. She's gonna try to fit some more in there by cutting it a little bit, just to make sure we have the whole pan covered. All right. Okay, our meatballs are cooking here. These last few in here. All right, turn that up a little bit, make it a little bit higher so that those potatoes will cook. All right. I wish you could all smell how wonderful everything is smelling right now.
I have to mix it with some rice because I want to put yellow rice on the pan.
Okay, he's trying to show us how the ice has got the saffron blooming here. Is the rice recipe scalable? Have you ever tried making it in a smaller pan for only 1 or 2 people? Absolutely. 4 cups of rice is probably good for, I would say, 5 to 6 people. So if you want to, you know, do this for 1 or 2, I would say do 1 to 2 cups of rice. And if you have leftover rice, believe me, in my house, we do this a lot, and we use the leftovers and just warm it in the microwave or put it back in the pan and heat it back up, you know, on the stove. So the leftovers only get better with Persian food, both in the rice dishes and the stews that they make. So yeah, definitely you could cut the recipe in half or a quarter if you want, or just make it and have leftovers. So our potato is starting to sizzle there. And Narges has gone and gotten some, here we go. Alex, let's move back over there. She's gone and gotten some of that parboiled rice out of the strainer.
Yeah, I add this saffron powder with the water and ice cubes and add it to the rice and mix them together.
Look how beautiful it turns the rice so quickly.
Yeah.
Saffron's not only beautiful in that it makes the color, but it also gives just a wonderful aroma and flavor to the rice.
Yeah, it is. And
beautiful.
We have to make layers by rice and sour cherry. So first, the first layer is this layer that we mix the saffron and rice.
Okay, so that's going to be our first layer on the bottom. Bring that back over. Just a second, we'll get over there. Okay.
Make a thin layer on bottom of the pan. And then,
Okay. All right. So we've got a layer of the saffron rice.
and I add
Now she's adding some white rice on top.
just a little bit.
I'm gonna get to that a little bit and put a little bit of the white rice.
And now I can use some of this
The juice,
juice
syrup
syrup,
from the
sour
cherries.
cherries and a little bit of
The cherries themselves.
cherries. Yes.
Wow. Nice. Okay. Back to some more rice.
Yeah. Next layer with the rice.
Roll our rice out. Okay.
And then
Oh, that sour cherry
Yeah.
syrup, the smell is just amazing.
yeah. And we add the rest of the
The cherries and the
cherries.
syrup. Okay. Beautiful. All right.
And the next part is
We have our towel
yeah.
that we always
Towel,
use
yes.
when we're making Persian rice. We use a clean kitchen towel, and I find that, you know, a nice thin cotton one works best because you wrap it around the lid and then you put it on top so it's got a good tight fit, and you make sure to keep your ends of your towel here on top so that it doesn't hang down and catch fire. If you have a pot lid that has the ability to kind of tuck it in, that's great. If not, I've used, you know, like a chip clip or a clothespin or anything to just kind of make sure it all stays up here and doesn't come down and catch fire, because you're going to let it cook for a while. Okay.
And we turn down the heat.
Okay, turn it down to like a medium.
Yeah.
Okay, and while our meatballs are cooking away, so that's pretty much it for the rice. We're getting the meatballs done, and then we will go back and work on the Narges Amani again.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Okay. All right, we're coming back over to
We have to add the chopped
Onion.
and some oil.
Okay, so a little oil with the onion.
Yeah, just we have to put them in.
Okay, so we can move this to the back and use that. Okay. All right, we're gonna let our onions start to cook. And while that's happening, maybe we can start chopping the eggplants.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Can I do that?
Yep. There we go.
Just I take off the head.
The stem, cut off the stem portion.
Yes.
Okay.
And just cut it like this.
Oh, okay, so you're just really rough chopping it.
Yeah.
All right.
Because after it's cooked, we have to mash them.
Smash it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the pan. You have to do it in the pan. Okay, we have to wait for onion sitting for the.
Okay, so we're trying to let our onion get cooked here. Turn it up a little bit, so it'll cook a little faster. Now, the rice that we have on the stove, how long is that gonna steam?
It's because we put pancake, I think it's about 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes to
Yes.
steam, okay. So we're probably gonna go a little over an hour today, folks, just to give you a warning and a heads up. We'll try to finish maybe around 3:15. But our meatballs are frying up nicely. And I also, for those of you who know, we also have our tea going on our stovetop samovar over there, as you can see. So we've been enjoying some Persian tea throughout the day.
Persian people must have this tea always with themselves,
Yes.
and it must be always on the top of the stove.
Yeah, so in a typical Persian house, Iranian house, the stovetop samovar is going all day, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you have guests over, but even
Yeah.
if you're just home alone, you want
Yeah.
some tea throughout the day.
Just 2 times or 3 times a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best part about the samovar, and for those of you who maybe haven't seen our previous workshops, the bottom of the samovar, here, let me pull this over if I can grab it. Not too hot. I'll get it. I did. I'm spilling it. I managed to spill everything. Sorry about that. But I'll show you the samovar anyway. It's just, it was a little hot over here. That part's really hot. Don't burn yourself. All right. Let's put it over here on the paper. There we go. All right. So the bottom of the samovar here is where we have the hot water. And so you fill this with water and you keep this going all day and you keep boiling water in that. And then this top one here has a little basket in it, and that's where you put your loose leaf tea. And once you have your water hot, you can, is it? Oh, okay. You want to do a different one, or here, let's get this out of the way. I think they'll be okay. So just take a towel. Hang on just a minute, guys. Technical difficulties. My fault. Shouldn't have tried to do that. Get that out of the pan. Okay, here we go. All right. So this one is still going. Okay. No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll do it later. All right. There we go. That one. There we go. We're back on. All right. So back on medium. This one's cooking. Meatballs are cooking. We're good. Okay. So back to this. So the once your water is boiling in the bottom one here, then you have your loose leaf tea in the top one, and you use some of that boiling water to create a really strong concentrated tea. So throughout the day, whether you have 2 people or 10 people or 20 people, you've got this really strong concentrated tea. You can use just a little bit in the bottom of a cup, and then use the hot water in the bottom section to make it a more drinkable mixture of tea. And that way you can just keep adding more to the top one, or adding a little bit more tea and water to this one to keep updating your concentrate. And then, throughout the day, you'll probably have to add some more to your bottom as well to keep that going.
You turn the meatballs off?
Nope. Is it off? Not turn it off. There we go. All right. So I'll move this back over here now and get it out of our way. Okay, where did we get the cherries? So these cherries, as I was saying earlier, let me go over here so I can get in front of the camera a little bit. These cherries are the Sadaf brand, and it's sour cherries, pitted sour cherries in light syrup. I was able to find these locally at the Global Foods Market in Hamilton Plaza for anybody who's local to State College. If you're not, you can also order them online. At various stores. Sadaf has its own online shop, but you know the shipping tends to be a little bit much sometimes if you're ordering online. Alternately, you could just get frozen sour cherries at your supermarket and make your own syrup using the sour cherries themselves and cooking them in some water with sugar. So you're just going to make your own syrup out of those frozen cherries. But this is kind of probably your best option if you're local, or if you can find where you are a Middle Eastern market that carries these types of things. All right, the onions are browning up a little bit there. The tea water helped, I'm sure.
We have to chop the garlic.
Okay, we're going to press some garlic here into those onions. Scrape it. What's that mean? There you go. Yeah. Okay. So you just want to be careful not to burn your garlic, because I tend to do that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to cut you there. Okay. So this one said a large onion and 3 cloves of garlic. There we go. All right.
We add some turmeric.
Okay.
After.
And I didn't measure that. I just, put
Yeah,
some in there.
it
So
depends
whatever
on people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think on the recipe there was a measurement, but I just dumped some in there for her to use. So whatever she wants to use. Okay. We got our turmeric in there. In most Persian stews and even the chilo kebab and other meats and things, there's always turmeric, I think, and always paprika, it seems like. Those are the main spices I see, and salt and pepper, of course.
Yeah, we always use turmeric for onion to make it a nice color.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's why we use it a lot.
Okay, and now you've added tomato paste. All right. Yep, there's the water, yep. So once you get that tomato paste in there, obviously it's going to seem a little dry, so you can add water to keep your tomato paste from burning. And that's not exactly a science. It's just, to your eye, what's working best for it. So you want it to be fairly thick, but not burning.
And after that, we add the.
Okay, now we're putting the eggplant in. All right. Great. All right.
A little bit of salt, mix them all together, and add a little bit of
Salt. Okay.
we add the rest of the butter.
Okay, so we're making kind of a nice tomatoey sauce around the eggplant.
And because we want to, after the eggplants cooked, we have to smash them. So we need more water to make them
A little
really
softer.
cooked, yeah.
Okay.
And we have to put the lid on.
Put the lid on. Okay, let me grab that lid for you.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go. Okay.
This one, I think.
I think our meatballs are getting about done there.
Yes. Just try to make them. All parts. It's better to have all parts fried. Kind of fried, but it's not too fried.
Yeah. So we want them done, so we're not going to
Yeah.
make anyone sick, but
Yeah.
not too crispy is what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And I think it's just a few minutes we have to turn it down.
Okay.
Yeah. And when it's getting, we say steam.
You see the
Yeah.
steam coming out of
Yeah.
the rice? Yeah.
It's getting to be ready just 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great.
We have to wait for it.
Waiting for the,
Yeah.
the eggplant now to get a little softer.
Yes.
Great. All right. So we'll get a platter ready for the rice. The presentation, as in most cultures, the presentation is always really a big part of Persian food.
Yeah.
You make it beautiful. They do everything they can to enhance so that you eat with your eyes first and then you eat with your mouth. And so we'll have our tray ready for that. Maybe, let's see, we're waiting for the eggplant to soften up a little bit more. In the recipe, I had said, we could do eggs or not. That's something that some people do and some people don't.
Yes.
So I think you said your family don't usually do the eggs.
Yes.
So for us, we do typically do the eggs, and that was in your recipe as well. So we may or may not do that today, but
But
if-
the eggs is the final part.
yeah.
Yeah. After it's cooked.
Right. Yeah. So we can show you maybe how to do that as well. But yeah, you can, when your rice is on, and like I said, on my stove, I cook it this final step at about 4 on my gas stove, which is about medium. I find if you go too much higher than that, you're going to burn the bottom, but you want it hot enough that it's going to obviously cook your potato or your whatever your tahdig is on the bottom. So you'll see that steam. I know it's hard to see on the camera, but there is some steam coming out, even though we have the towel on there to collect the steam. And that is, typically done in Persian cuisine so that the rice stays separate and doesn't get sticky and stuck together. It's important that it be long grain and it have the space to expand and that it doesn't get clumped together and sticky.
And because the sour cherry is mixed with sugar, so if we use the sour cherry in the bottom of the layers, it's going to be burned. So we have to use it in this method of layering the rice, and we have to put it in the second layer.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? I think we're all really fortunate in this area that we had this new shop move in. They carry so many of the Middle Eastern ingredients that I used to have to order online or have friends bring when they come back and forth from the Middle East. So it's nice that they're there now and we can get some of those things locally. All right, I think we might want to just turn off the meatballs because I think they're going to be a little overdone if we let them keep going. And then I have, this is what I normally use to mash. So you want to use that when you're ready.
How it works?
You just, yeah, you just you know, I don't have like a potato masher,
Mhm.
but I use this to just kind of chop and mash things up. Testing the rice.
Yes. It needs just 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 more minutes, she says. Yep. We have another question. You mentioned you like making desserts. Can you tell us your favorite Persian dessert?
Oh, the Persian dessert. Actually, oh yeah, it's sholazar.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Sholazar is rice and saffron and a little bit sugar with chopped almond, and at the end we add some rose water.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's getting tasty.
Kind of a rice pudding,
Yes,
basically.
yes, it is.
Yeah, but not as not quite as creamy as a rice pudding that you would be used to. This more has the rose water flavor. And some
And
people use
saffron.
cardamom sometimes in it
Yeah,
as well.
yes.
Yeah, and saffron.
Mhm.
So it's a beautiful yellow color, and it's really good.
Yeah.
There are specific times of year that you make sholazard more.
Yes, sometimes because we have some religious events, so
Okay.
some people made it for religious.
Yeah. And I know right now is Ramadan.
Mhm.
My family doesn't really
Yeah.
participate in Ramadan, but a lot of people right now are fasting from
Yes.
sunrise to sunset for
Mhm.
Ramadan. It just began a few days ago, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
goes for 30 days.
Yeah.
Um,
And most of the people make the sholazar for Ramadan.
during
as well,
Ramadan,
yes.
yeah. There's an interesting tradition in that during Ramadan, when you break your fast, we call that the iftar.
Mhm.
When you break your fast, from my life over there, I remember that the iftar always started with dates and
Yes,
tea,
yes.
and that was kind of ease your system into eating again after you've been fasting all day.
Yeah.
So you have some dates and tea, and
Yeah.
then you start your evening meal.
Yeah, that's right. And for the beginning after iftar, we have to most of the people instead of sholazat they make halim,
Uh-huh.
which is whole grain, cooked whole grain, and with some meat,
Okay.
lamb meat or turkey,
Mhm.
and
So it comes to kind of a paste almost, yeah, and you eat it with bread.
yeah,
Yeah, halim.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I've seen it made with turkey,
yes.
chicken or turkey,
Mhm, yeah.
yeah, and lamb.
But it's good with lamb as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I like all this both desserts a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Another one that I really like, although I've never had good luck making it, is Persian halva. Because you have to really stir the flour for a very long time to brown the flour, and I always tend to burn my flour. But it's one of my favorites. It has such a unique flavor to it, and it's not really like the Indian halva or the Turkish halva
Yes,
I've tried.
it's
It's very
different.
different, but it's delicious.
Yeah, and very soft.
Yeah,
I
very
think.
soft.
Yeah.
It's I'm trying to think of what we have that you could compare it to. It's thicker than a pudding, and it's served pretty much at room temperature. But it's kind of like a paste almost, but thicker than a paste. So it's really good.
Yeah, it is, and the taste is really good.
Yeah,
I like it.
very nice with tea.
Yeah.
A lot of the Persian desserts, I mean, some of them like baklava or the nun khamei, the cream puffs.
Yeah.
Those are sweet, but a
Yes.
lot of Persian desserts are really not very sweet,
Yes.
not so sugary.
Yeah.
They're just mildly sweet, and then you have them with tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Let me check the.
All right, you're gonna check the eggplant. Oh, sorry, yes. I think there we go. Okay.
Smash them.
Yeah. Okay, so folks are asking how you can tell when the rice is done.
how do I know?
How can you tell? Like if she's looking at her rice, how can she tell it's done? I think you almost
It's
have to
kind of-
taste it and feel it. Yeah.
Yes, it must be very soft, I think, and when you look at it, it shouldn't be any water inside the rice.
Oh, yeah.
It must be a little
Separate
bit
and drier.
Yeah, dry and soft.
But also, you know, what we typically tend to do is just taste it a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it's still got any hardness in the middle of the rice, you know, it needs to steam a little longer.
Yes, that's right.
So it's looking kind of pasty. And we're smashing up that eggplant into all that delicious tomato-ness. You know, growing up here in the US, at least for me, I lived in the Midwest, eggplant wasn't something I ever really saw, other than maybe at Italian restaurants for eggplant parmesan.
Oh,
But we didn't really use a lot of eggplant. And then when I met my husband about 40 years ago, you know, eggplant's such a big part of Iranian cuisine. I learned to love it.
yes, it is.
The eggplant stew, khoresh, eggplant khoresh badamjan, it's called, is my family's favorite. They really love that one.
Yes, it is really delicious.
So that's layering eggplant and tomato in a beef stew, and it's so delicious.
Yeah, it is. I love eggplant as well.
Yeah.
But mostly I saw the American people use courgette instead of
Zucchinis.
oh,
Zucchinis, yes.
Yeah.
I should mention that Narges lived in London for some time in England. So some of her English is a British English.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I try to change it.
No, it's fine. It's great. But I know courgette is what they call zucchini in England, right?
And they call aubergine instead of
aubergine instead of eggplant. Yeah, this stage of the Mirza Ghassemi, I always think I did something wrong because it doesn't look quite right yet, but then slowly it all kind of comes together and it looks right.
Yes, it is okay. After a few minutes, we have to add egg. We can make a hole in the middle and put the egg on and put the lid and make it to
steam or cook the egg.
Yes, and some people mix the egg with eggplants and they stir it, so it's another way to add egg. More
like a scrambled egg.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For my family, when we do this, it's gotten to the point where when I make it to this stage, I make the holes in here for the eggs. I have to make at least one egg for everybody in the family because they all want the egg.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So I make enough for everybody to get their own egg.
And can I put the lid for 3 minutes?
Where did that go? It's back over there. Just a second. All right. Okay. You think this is ready?
Yes.
Okay, we could go ahead and start dishing that up then.
Okay, can I bring it?
I'm going to, let's put this under there real quick so it doesn't. Okay. So this one we would scoop out, right? It's not the kind we flip over.
Yes, we can.
You can flip it if you want?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's see if,
this one?
yeah. All right. So if you've seen how we do this, you know, we put the tray over the top of the pan and then quickly flip it over. Oh, great. Okay. All right. Go to the overhead there. All right. I'm going to take it off and see how we did. Whoa, beautiful. Oh, how nice. And you can see all the crispy rice around the edges and the potato.
Yeah.
Looks beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. And then we're going to put our Meatballs.
We can put it around the,
Sure.
yeah, or on the top.
Oh, okay.
As you
So
wish.
sometimes you would put it on top,
Yeah.
sometimes around the edges.
Mhm. And now we add some pistachio,
Okay.
chopped pistachio on the top of the rice. And what's it?
So chopped pistachio on top, and then
Yes, and a little bit of
chopped almond.
chopped almond.
And we went with the traditionally you see the slivered almond on top, and I couldn't find slivered pistachios, so Narges went ahead and just chopped them, slivered them herself.
Yeah.
So there's our albalu polo ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And let me grab a serving piece here. So this is how we would typically serve this. And then we will also get ready to put our eggs on. There we go. All right.
And so this part I leave it to you.
Oh.
because
So
I haven't-
yeah, so typically what I would do is, you know, have a little bit of a well in the Narges Amani so that the egg has kind of a place to touch the surface of the pan. And this just goes to show how different people do this, because in Narges's family, sorry, I see that one. I thought there was another piece in there. Come on. It doesn't want to come out. In Narges's family, they don't typically add the egg, but we're used to having the egg in ours, so that's why we kind of have different ideas about how this all works.
Yeah.
And that could be a regional thing, or just a family tradition.
It depends on people, the way that they like to put eggs, or they don't like to add any eggs
Yeah.
to the noodles.
Right. Okay. So this would take typically a little time for the egg to just kind of cook enough. Could break the yolk a little to help it along. There we go. Just a few minutes for that egg to cook in, and then that will be ready as well.
Yeah.
So do a little bit of a plating. If you want to go to the overhead, we'll show how you would typically serve this on a plate.
This one? Oh, this one?
Yeah.
So try to have a little bit crust.
The potato taddy.
Yes.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, beautiful.
And you can see the layers. And
So you can see the cherry syrup and the cherries, and then some of the
saffron
meatballs.
and, yeah, meatballs.
Nice.
Like this.
Great. Okay, while we're waiting for those eggs to cook, I want to thank Narges for coming over today and doing all of this.
That's my
I learned
pleasure.
something new today, so I'm excited to be able to do this one for my
Yeah,
family
yeah,
now.
That's pleasure. That's my pleasure, and I'm really happy to cook it together. And
Yeah.
hope that everybody likes it.
Yeah,
Try
yeah.
this.
If any of you do end up trying to make the recipe at home, we would love to see your photos. So please send them to me. Just respond to the email that I sent you and include photos. As I said, next month is going to be World Kitchen Egypt, working with another one of the Humphrey Fellows, who will come and show us some very traditional Egyptian food. We've been discussing what she's going to show, and some of my ideas of what was Egyptian food. Turns out it's not traditional Egyptian food. It's just kind of been adopted by the Egyptians. And so we're going a lot more traditional next month. So please join us for that. That information will be up on our website sometime next week. This video will also be up on our website sometime next week. If you would like to refer to it and come back and cook along with the video later. So maybe what we could do, I know the eggs aren't completely cooked through, but what we could do is just dish a little bit of that up and put it on our plate to just show what that's going to look like as well. And there we go. So
It looks great.
okay, so this is the Narges Amani. You would traditionally serve this with some pita bread or, just with the rice. There we go. Okay, thank you all so much for coming, and we will see you next month.
Yeah.